Well, just on the eve of Diwali, if you had noticed, the government cut excise tax, 5 rupees on petrol per litre, 10 rupees on diesel per litre. The government for them said this was a Diwali bonanza for the consumers, and then said now it's up to the state governments to cut VAT to further reduce the burden on consumers. All BJP-run states followed. The opposition-run states did not. The opposition said all of this a cruel joke on the hapless citizens. Here's more.
कुछ तो राहत मिली है सर, फिलहाल के लिए तो मिली है, आगे देखते हैं।
विपक्षी को बोलिए कि पहले बेसिक चीजों की जानकारी करके सरकार पे कोई कमेंट करे। ये पिछले सरकारों के पाप को ढो रही है मोदी सरकार।
चुनाव आ गया तो चीजें कम होने लगी, चुनाव आ गया तो लोग जाने लगे। अभी जैसे ही चुनाव गायब होगा फिर सब कुछ यथास्थान पे आ जाएगा।
सब चीज इसलिए महंगे, कम से कम सस्ता होना चाहिए, जो पहले था उसके आसपास तो होना ही चाहिए एक्चुअली।
In what has been a cruel season of record fuel hikes and crippling inflation, on the eve of Diwali, the government gave the Aam Aadmi a breather from staggering hikes by cutting the central excise duty by 5 rupees per litre on petrol and 10 rupees per litre on diesel. The small Diwali cheer was eclipsed with booming politics and a battle that was pitched between the centre and the states. Quick after the reduction, BJP and NDA-run states announced reduction in VAT prices on fuel, further transferring the benefit to consumers. BJP-ruled states like Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Tripura, Goa, Uttarakhand, Manipur, Assam, Bihar and Haryana announced cuts in VATs. However, states run by opposition parties like Punjab, West Bengal, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Jharkhand did not cut VAT and transfer the benefits to citizens. The BJP was quick to pick it up, attacking the opposition.
देश के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने एक्साइज में कमी कर दी, पेट्रोल और डीजल को सस्ता किया और बीजेपी रूलिंग स्टेट ने भी इसको कम कर दिया। लेकिन कांग्रेस पार्टी सिर्फ बड़ी-बड़ी बातें करती है और जब रिलीफ देना है आवाम को तो कांग्रेस पार्टी चूक जाती है।
The political storm over fuel hike also engulfed social media. BJP social media in charge Amit Malviya attacked the opposition parties on Twitter for going after the government on fuel hikes but not reducing VAT on their end. The opposition on its count was quick to dismiss the charges.
साल 2021 यानी इस साल 26 रुपया डीजल पर कीमतें बढ़ा दी प्रति लीटर, 10 रुपया लीटर कम करके शेखी बगार रहे हैं कि बहुत बड़ा दीपावली का तोहफा दे दिया।
If the Congress called it a cheap joke on consumers, the TMC called it the effect of losing an election. NCP chief Sharad Pawar also jumped in, calling out the government for not paying GST dues to the states, asking the government to pay the dues first and then ask for VAT correction.
राज्य सरकारी असं सुचवलेली दिसते की आम्ही निश्चित देण्यासाठी देऊ, पण केंद्र सरकारी राज्याची GSTची जे देणं आहे ती कशाकडून लवकर द्यावं, ती दिल्याच्या नंतर अशा प्रकारचा लोकांना मदत करण्याचा निर्णय घेणं हे शक्य होईल.
While the fuel price rollback has come as a small reprieve to the already pinched pockets of the Aam Aadmi, the politics around it is only escalating and will continue to do so. After all, elections are just around the corner. Bureau Report, India Today. All right, viewers, and to the point, before we get into the politics of the fuel cuts, let's get into the semantics of it. And to break it down, I have with me Siddharth Zarabi, Managing Editor, Business Today TV. Thank you for joining us, Siddharth. I'd ask our political panelists just to wait 2 minutes with their permission. I'd cut across to Mr. Zarabi here. Siddharth, break it down for us. Now, the opposition is saying that this is hardly anything. It's a crude joke. You've increased, the prices for so many times right now that it's breaking records. Would you break it down just in terms of what we've seen in terms of price rise and the rollback of excise that we saw just a day before Diwali?
Preeti, 3 major components that contribute to what our consumer pays for petrol and diesel. One is the pricing linked to international crude. The second is what is called the central excise, and the third is the state value-added tax. Unfortunately, even after a few years of the introduction of the GST, petroleum, diesel, the fuel pack is still not in GST. It would have made some difference. If you take these three components, what has happened is the center moved first, and you have all the political reactions that are coming in. States, a majority of them, some 22 odd and perhaps more counting, have done it. Some have held out. The third bit is really the way international crude oil prices move. As far as excise, if we look at it in a different manner, our petroleum companies have contributed over 90,000 crore plus, if I give you the exact number, 90,750 crore for the current financial year so far for the central exchequer, which means all the central duties. They have also given roughly 61,601 crore to the states. So obviously the central levies altogether are higher than the state levies. You can see 60,000 versus 90,000. If the states also cut, which they have already done, it will mean, as we can see, if we take June 2017, which is the available published data, I'll just give you one quick example. Delhi, the petrol rate at that point of time on the specific date of 16 June was 65.48 paisa to the litre. Before the cut, Delhi's price was 110. So look at the consistent year-on-year increase when it comes to the consumer. The consumer, frankly, is not bothered about the taxes. He's bothered about what is going out from his pocket.
Siddhartha, before I let you go, just would you take us through those figures once again? Because that's a sizable increase that we have seen from June till, say, the eve of Diwali, which was the 3rd of November, and the subsequent rollback of 5 rupees per litre less where petrol was concerned and 10 on diesel. How much have we paid extra in those 4-5 months?
So, what I was referring to was data from June 2017.
Okay.
For the last 4.5, 5 years, if you look at the overall trend line, I gave you just one price point for Delhi for petrol, moving from 65.5 roughly to 110 plus. If you look at diesel, that moved from 76.7 to 115. That's been the consistent rise. And all of the contributions come from these three major heads, which is the inherent pricing and the state and the central levies. The larger question, Preeti, that I want to leave you with is, what happens as crude oil prices globally start going up? We are looking at $80 plus already. What if they consistently rise further, which is what a lot of experts are saying is likely to happen because the world economy is opening up, countries are consuming more, most of the world is out of the COVID pandemic, and you've also seen the energy crisis. What happens when it goes, for example, to 90 or further? I think, and I hope really that it's not short-lived comfort.
Well, because, till now when crude was low, we still increased our prices.
Absolutely, and the central government and the states in some ways made sure that their tax shortfall from so many other sources, as businesses shut down, restaurants shut down, travel shut down, all manner of revenue earning for the government from the tax basket stopped. They only utilized this, and there was a period for several months where even petrol diesel sales weren't happening when the complete lockdown was there.
Appreciate you joining us, Siddharth. I want to cut across to our political panelists because there's a huge slugfest, and I'll begin with our Congress spokesperson at this juncture, Dr. Anshul Avijit, we have from the Congress, and I have Gopal Krishna Agarwal from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Mr. Avijit, yes, you've been saying that this is a very small offering of just 5 rupees cut down where petrol is concerned and 10 on diesel. You call it a crude joke, but you can help in that, at least in the states that you run, by cutting down VAT. Why aren't you not doing so?
No, we will do whatever is necessary to help the poor, which has always been our policy. If you remember in the UPA times, we consistently did that. In fact, one of the ways in we did that and protected the poor from increasing international prices of oil was the oil bonds itself, which was actually a debt instrument which helped in protecting everybody. Of course, it's become a sort of a point of critique for the government, but the government really has to pay nothing for that. So we've done that. Let me remind you of the kind of prices that existed, since we're doing a bit of number crunching at the moment, that existed when the UPA was there. At that time, the price of international crude was 106, and in Delhi, the price of petrol was about 71, and the price of diesel was 55 rupees. Now the price of international crude is barely above 80. and we have the prices that we have. Look, this is absolutely the cruel joke of politics, of petrol. Shamelessly playing with the lives of the poor. This is economic posturing. This has nothing to do
Dr.
with...
Abhijit, before I go to Gopal Krishna Agrawal, I'll ask you again, if you've done so much in the past, is politics stopping you from cutting down VAT in states which are run by the Congress?
No, there is nothing. We will measure, we will take stock of what has happened, and we will do what is necessary. But I want to tell you about the amount of stress deficit that exists between the center and the states with regard to the GST. Also, the fact that we've already, in states like Madhya Pradesh, and if you compare it with Chhattisgarh, the Madhya Pradesh barely decreased their VAT. And to come down to the level of Chhattisgarh, it has to decrease by almost 15 rupees. In Haryana, they've given another, kind of chicanery where they've decreased the price of petrol, but they actually increased the price of diesel. So this is pure trickery. And they think that they've wrong-footed their critics. But everyone can see through it because of reversals in the elections.
Okay, Dr. Gopal Krishna.
We're in terminal panic, Preeti.
Right. Dr. Gopal Krishna Agrawal, let's begin with this. The reason why the citizens of this country got that bit of a Diwali bonus was because you had possible reverses that you were not very happy with, especially in the state of Himachal, which was riding back on high inflation, high fuel prices. And that's the reason why you took it back. It was a political move.
Preeti ji, we should understand whatever you may assign or anybody may assign agenda or the motive behind. But the fact is that it is the center which has taken the lead in reducing the excise. And you cannot say that overnight this decision can be taken. It's a well thought of decision. Every single rupee reduced in the excise by the center, almost 13,000 crore of loss is borne by the center. So we have to understand that it is not an overnight decision, one thing. Second thing is, when the Congress spokesperson talks about how they managed oil prices earlier, that time they are selectively giving the figures. Why? That time the inflation was 9.5%, and today the inflation rate is 4.6%. That time the central government did not come out with a package of 30 lakh crore for the post-COVID pandemic. There was no free vaccination to almost more than 100 crore population. The amount of government has spent on the welfare of providing food to the people, providing housing, building road infrastructure. That time the roads were being built at 11 kilometers per day. Now it is 37 kilometers per day. So the amount of spending that the central government is doing on the welfare scheme, post-COVID fiscal stimulus, the amount the central government has reduced on GST taxation, amount has been reduced on the direct taxes. So ultimately, this is a very well thought of decision by the central government. When the stimulus further, this will boost the economy to a very large extent.
Mr. Agrawal, you just heard my colleague give you some figures which are staggering in terms of the contribution through taxes, which was excise tax that has been made, which the citizens have paid in the last 1 year alone. I want to ask you, because when the crude was low, you didn't pass on the benefit to the citizens. You've rolled back excise right now. And now, in all probabilities, crude is going to rise again. Then what?
So, Preeti, we have to understand that overall, the total tax collection at the center constitutes collection from petrol, direct tax, indirect tax, and on the other side, whatever is the government expenditure. So these figures have to be matched. So if we are collecting tax, reducing under indirect tax and GST, where many items are less than 5% and even have attracted tax under indirect tax to 5% and 0%. Only 6 items are there which are taxed at 28% and 18%. Maximum commodities are taxed at 18%. That time it was 30% earlier. So we have reduced indirect tax.
So when crude rises again, the prices will automatically go up again, which will be a matter of days.
So therefore, we are asking the Congress-ruled state that we have walked the talk. Now you
most Congress-ruled states and opposition states are asking first pay us the GST. You're withholding our GST, pay us the GST and then ask for a VAT cut.
This is a wrong narration that the Congress is building. Center is compensating GST to the states. and by 22 everything which is pending will be paid to the state. And another point we have to understand that the center had committed that even if the center collection in GST tax is reduced drastically over the COVID period, still the states are getting every year 14% increment.
Okay.
So
Dr.
including that
okay, fair point.
These are
Mr. Agarwal, fair
these are the statistical figures which are completely being ignored by the
Dr. Anshul Abhijit, the BJP spokesperson, says by 2022 all dues will be cleared, but right now you have it in your hands to reduce VATs in certain states. Why aren't you doing so? You are getting behind them for cutting down on excise, which they have.
Do you know how immoral their argument is? That you keep robbing the poor of this country, and they say then that it's being all that money is being spent on welfare. That is the argument that's been used by subsequent oil ministers throughout, and including all BJP spokespersons. I mean, there is something inherently shameless about such an argument. Keep robbing them and then marginally decrease the prices of petrol and diesel, having ceaselessly increased it over the past 7 years. Preeti, the amount of money they have got is 23 lakh crores over a period of 7 years from this unremitting increase in the price of diesel and petrol.
Where has that money gone? But, as we put out those figures, Dr. Abhijit, I'll ask you again. Are Congress-run states looking to roll down VAT or not?
Look, of course, we will do whatever, as in the past, whatever is necessary. But this is a cruel joke that now the onus has come on the Congress when they have devastated the economy.
All right, gentlemen.
It's an absolutely false argument.
I need to close the show. But I appreciate you both for joining us, and the arguments will continue. And we're going to keep a keen eye on whether what Dr. Abhijit said, that the Congress will cut on VAT. And on the other hand, yes, the decrease or the drop in prices was marginal compared to how much we have paid successively over the days, over the months. The opposition says this is all with an eye on reverses and by-elections, especially in the state of Himachal. But now also the onus lies on the opposition. Do your bit. Cut VAT. With that, a quick break. Up next is Rahul Kamal.